Here we go. We are now live. Should
Here
be
we
going
go, here
live
we go, here
on the
we go.
old Instagram. There we go. So we get comments from that. I'll be tracking that. I'll be tracking SteamYard. And I'm going to be tracking the old TikTok. So go live on that bad boy as well. So we've got 3 platforms on the go.
Oh,
We're going crazy tonight. So we've got the TikTok, we've got the Instagram, we've got the YouTube. I know Jimmy somewhere is driving around Kansas with his wife Molly because he's doing up his bathroom. But yeah,
nice.
I come back from Lanzarote. I had to keep watching episode 6, Zero Friends again, and it's just blown my mind even more. What were your first reactions about the whole thing, Charlie?
Okay. Hi everybody. First and foremost, let's get into this because oh my goodness, what an episode. So this is the coveted, this is the Bryce Dallas Howard episode. We all know she has an incredible track record from The Mandalorian. I have been so excited about this episode. And what I think is really interesting is this episode was 34 minutes long, which is a little shorter than we're used to getting, which obviously means she didn't have a huge amount to work with in terms of story. But what we got was so unbelievably emotionally resonating.
Yeah,
I was in
wasn't it?
tears.
Same.
I was in tears.
It was crazy. It's crazy the power of this episode. It really brought out, I thought, a different side of all the characters, including Neil. To be fair, KB's phenomenal. Such an underrated character.
Obviously, last week we had more of a focus on Neil and Wim. It was very much kind of Neil sort of taking a bigger step, sacrificing himself for his friends. And obviously, we saw Wim coming to terms with the fact that adventure maybe isn't what he thought it was going to be. And this episode, it was really, really nice to focus on KB. There's a particular moment between her and Wim, and it breaks my heart. It really does. Obviously, I'll elaborate as we go on, but in pieces, honestly, absolute pieces.
Already getting loads of comments. So Jamie, he's in from YouTube. Hello there, Jim. Hope you're well. Taylor, hello. She said she loves KB already. TikTok, we've got a load of people just sitting there sending me loads of waves and love hearts on that. Good stuff. Nice. But yeah, lots of different stuff going on. Again, just before we start the actual stream, we're just chatting casually. Just a massive thank you from myself, Charlie, Jimmy, and Mike for all the support that we've had last year. Obviously, Charlie's on the team, so going forward now, you got the trio. Mike's going to be staying with us for the recaps. Obviously, delivering the post, so he's a busy man as it is. But yeah, thank you to everybody, all the support. Help us get to 2,000 on Instagram. We're almost there.
We are if you're not so already, close. We are so close.
So close. Jump onto our YouTube. We're nearly at 500 on that. So again, get on that and subscribe, please, if you can. And join our Facebook group as well. The Facebook group that we've got, Explore the Force, it's so engaging. Again, we're just under 500 short on that. Loads and loads of different types of content on there. Loads of different people on there posting stuff from photography of Star Wars toys. There's people in there that have done loads of cosplays as well. We've got absolutely loads of people on that group. It's so engaging. Loads of different people, all different walks of life. Crimson Cosplays put, hell yeah, Charlie. And we get a Charlie kitchen tour.
Oh, don't you even start. Right. So this is my friend Matt, and there's been a bit of a long running joke now that I do quite a lot of live streams, and all they want is to see my kitchen. These guys have never shown them anything more than what's on the little screen.
Okay.
So anytime I'm live, guys, you're not getting a kitchen tour, but you are getting like a spare room tour. This is where we keep all of the goodies, all of the merch, all of the bits and pieces. So
nice.
Enjoy.
Awesome.
10 if you're watching on TikTok, can guess what that.
I know what it is. It's the first thing I looked at, but obviously I had to get told. If you join us on TikTok, jump on our Instagram and YouTube as well. You'll see the beautiful Charlie. So you know I'm not just talking to myself as well on these streams. But again, yes, massive thank you to everybody for joining us. We're just going to be chatting about Zero Friends again from the Skeleton Crew. I've just got back from holiday. Charlie's just got back from her family as well. So we've had quite a busy festive period, haven't we? Lots of drinking, lots of eating, lots of good stuff. It's funny that they mention your kitchen because we have got something coming over on TikTok which may involve a kitchen, but more on that as and when it comes.
Ooh.
So, Charlie, shall we get started on episode 6?
Go on then.
Let's do it. So, first things first, they were left in a bit of a situation, if you like. Again, Wim's quick-witted, or quick-wimmed, however you want to do it, pun intended, flee down the trapdoor and get chucked out on the snow mountain. First big thing that we come across is KB. KB not moving. How did we start to feel then?
Terrified, quite honestly. Obviously, there have been hints throughout the last couple of episodes that maybe she has some health problems, and I think this was a really interesting way of dealing with disability in Star Wars. Obviously, I'm not 100% sure what's wrong with her, but it's obviously quite serious, and I think seeing what's the other girl's name? I've completely forgotten.
Fern.
Fern, thank you. Seeing Fern react so quickly and so suddenly was quite heart-wrenching.
Yeah, big time. We start to really see the vulnerability of the kids, I think, at this point, because they're on their own, truly on their own, because they've just been, sort of betrayed, if you like, by Jod. He's gone off. And yeah, KB's on the floor, unresponsive. Like I said, Fern runs over and straight away they're asking what's going on, what's the issue. And it turns out that they need to get into the back of her skull. So we sort of, get a bit of backstory that she had some form of accident. I don't know if she'd been turned or modified so she can carry on living, which makes sense as to why she didn't want to go down to the saunas as well in episode 5, because the corrosion that Fern mentioned. But yeah, we do really start to see a different side of all the kids, a bit more vulnerability. And I was thinking about it earlier as well on the plane. And I'm sort of skipping right ahead here, but for me, this group of characters is not quite on par because it'd be difficult to get that far yet. But it's reaching those dizzy heights of Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, R2, C3. I think we've found a group in Star Wars that we can all connect with, but we're starting to care about them, which is testament to the story writing and the acting, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely so.
But yeah, crazy good episode. And then obviously it skips to Jod coming out of like a manhole. And again, who's there? Gunter, ready to take him prisoner.
Ooh.
Funny bit about this, you got Pocket as well that's standing nearby saying hello to him. And I'm sure she calls him a different name again. I'm absolutely certain she does.
I think she does.
Does she call him Dash or Render?
I think so. I also appreciate the cheeky little kiss on the cheek.
Yes. Yeah. So again, I think all these names that he's getting are just nods to characters in the Star Wars universe. So if it is, I'm sure it's Render she calls him. Obviously talking about Dash Render. And then we see a couple of characters. I can only describe one of these characters that we see. It looks like a cow standing up mixed with a spider. I'm not sure if you know what sort of character I'm about. She was in.
Oh, but what a fantastic! Yes, I saw her. She was singing in The Last Jedi and the casino in Canto Bight. I recognised her immediately. She's got a very interesting chest, shall we say?
A cow mixed with a spider.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously then we get the X-Wings coming in.
Oh. And the kids getting all excited, and this debate between them about are they the bad guys? No, they're the good guys. Somebody called them X-Wings, and it's just like Wim's stories.
Yeah. And he starts to realise, well, it's an interesting point there as well that you brought up, Charlie, that I'm going to highlight as well. Is this the first time that they realise that the X-Wing pilots are actually the good guys?
I think so.
Because I'm not sure as well. Well, yeah. I don't think they know about the Republic whatsoever.
This is the thing. They exist in a world where the Galactic Wars have never happened.
Yeah. So for them to see these X-Wing pilots, they haven't got a clue if they're good or bad, really, then, have they?
No.
So, yeah, funny bit. And then then we go into obviously SM33 trying to get up. He pretty much gets zapped out the game straight away. No change to him. It's pretty useless on this episode, if I'm honest. Yeah.
I love it.
And then it concentrates on the kids. I think the kids could go back in the spotlight. And I keep seeing things where, certain websites or people or whatever, where they're saying that the pace slows down and all this. But I think the pace does need to slow down a bit when you're trying to give a bit of a backstory or a bit of character building, if you like.
Also, it's important to remember we're reaching the end of kind of Act 2 in terms of the storytelling. So everything needs to slow down, everything needs to wrap up so everything can move on to the final act of the story, which is going to be the last couple of episodes, 2 or 3. I'm not sure how many are left.
Yeah.
It's important to take that time to slow down. And also, this is a time for the kids to kind of bring together the skills that they've learned over the last few episodes. It's very classic storytelling. If you remember way back when Skeleton Crew was first announced, it was immediately they said that this was going to be inspired by Amblin Films, Steven Spielberg's film company. There is such a kind of familial homeliness to this storytelling, and specifically this episode. I'm so glad it was given to Bryce Dallas Howard because obviously her father is Ron Howard, who is incredibly good friends with Steven Spielberg, who's also very good friends with George Lucas, and so on and so forth. So you've got that perfect combination to just have just half an hour with these kids. Everything is changing for them. They're so close to being home, but they're also lost still. KB not being well. It's an important kind of stopgap, I think. It's an important moment to just take a breath kind of visually and narratively.
Yeah, completely. And again, I'm a massive fan like you are of Bryce Dallas Howard. She has to have her own movie by now, surely. Like you mentioned with her dad, Ron Howard, extremely talented person. Let us know what your thoughts are, the guys and girls that are listening, watching on the platforms as well. What you think of this episode, what you think of Bryce Dallas Howard. Yeah, I think she's absolutely incredible. I was saying this, I think it was yesterday or the day before. In fact, no, it was Monday. I was saying it on Tuesday. I can't wait for this episode. It's one of the ones I highlighted on my calendar. We've got 2 more episodes left. It's absolutely flown by, hasn't it, as well? It's gone so fast. And again, I was thinking this earlier is, I don't want this to end. And when it does end, I want it to continue. It needs to be picked back up. I would love nothing more to see these kids grow up and follow them, sort of like a Harry Potter series sort of thing. How we've followed Daniel Radcliffe and co. grow up. It'd be the same thing through Star Wars. There is definitely a niche here for generations upon generations of people now to get into Star Wars, to watch these kids grow up and grow alongside, because that's what Star Wars is pretty much done for everybody. Everyone's growing up with some form of Star Wars, whether you're like me and you, Charlie, prequels, or the old school ballers like Jimmy and Mike, the originals. And then obviously got the sequels, which probably like my kids, for example. Then you got the Clone Wars stuff, the Rebel stuff, now this stuff. So it's a great little catch for people of all ages, obviously, but more importantly, to get some more generations of people into the Star Wars world. So after they've all spoken to KB, the X-Wings have come in. They then obviously had a quick chat with KB. She's highlighted the fact that she's memorized the coordinates. We knew that KB was the smart one at this point, though, didn't we?
Yeah.
She was the brains of this whole operation. And then they start to form, or should I say, start to split up. I think KB becomes a bit fed up with Fern. Frictions are there. Neil, he's like the peacemaker, isn't he, if you like? And we know that women Fern don't quite see eye to eye. They both want to be the leader. But again, it's just like childhood memories. We've all been there as kids where you want to be the leader of the group, or you've seen your friends like get upset, or you've felt the same as KB where, you're fed up with your friend like not believing in you, or you're scared that you'll lose your best friend. And I guarantee we've all been there. So again, incredible storytelling. And then they decide that, the end goal essentially is to get back up there, get on the ship and go. Fern decides she's going to climb up. Wim decides to follow the intellectual, what's the word I'm looking for here? The smart crabs.
The smart crabs.
The smart crabs, the trash crabs.
Cash grabs.
Just out of interest, who would you have followed on that? Would you have gone climbing with Fern, or would you follow the smart crabs?
I do think I would have gone with Fern, which I think is I understand Neil's kind of thought process. I really do.
Yeah.
It looks like the quickest and the fastest way. It's also the path of least resistance. Fern can be quite intense, and Neil doesn't like confrontation. I think we've
Yeah.
discovered this. Bless his little heart. But what I find really interesting is they go from having this quite mature conversation of, well, I disagree with you, and have you considered that there are other options? And this quite adult back and forth over their disagreement to all of a sudden it going to, well, last one to the ship's a rotten egg.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so well written. Immediately you're reminded that they're just little kids.
Yeah.
They're little
Yeah.
kids
No.
having a fight in the playground. I'm going to reach the ship before you are. No, I'm going to reach the ship.
Yeah. That's what I love about this. Because again, it's just, it takes us back to the playground days where we've all been there.
Mm-hmm.
We've all followed each other, and yeah, absolutely loved it. I'm with you. I'd have gone with Fern as well. I think it's the path of least resistance, but it's very clever that they talk about limitations, and you spoke about disabilities and stuff like that. So again, they're reaching out even to a bigger audience again. So big kudos to Disney and the writers for that. Meanwhile, it goes back to the space station. We've got Brutus there delivering a verdict on Jod, which we know he wants him dead. And then they have the right to invoke, what do they call it? The right to invoke, the right of last appeal, I think it was called.
I think
Right of
so.
last
It's
appeal.
making me think of like Parlay in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying kind of the piracy code aspect of it. It's very, very fun, very exciting. I think piracy was a big part of the extended universe. There's a lot of stories and a lot of story arcs that cover that side of the galaxy specifically. Super,
Yeah.
super fun and interesting. And this is a really campy, over the top. I think obviously because it's Jude Law in that role as well, it's gonna be that little bit more. And I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. It's so big and silly and goofy.
Yeah. I absolutely love it. I love all the stuff with the bounty hunters and the pirate stuff, I think it's absolutely fantastic. And the amount of different characters that are on the space station that the camera goes around and sees. You've got the Quarren as well with a little bit of backstory. You've got the now I think she was a stormtrooper. I couldn't quite make out the white armor that she had, but it might have been wearing clone trooper armor from phase 1 as well. I need to go back and look at that again.
Ooh,
When
I
he's
didn't spot
talking,
that.
yeah. So when he starts talking to him, he says about commanding the fleet. Coma, her name is. But the armor that she's wearing, it looks very Stormtrooper-esque or Clone Trooper-esque. I'm thinking it might be Clone Trooper Phase 2 or 1. I'm not sure, but it looks quite similar to Stormtrooper armor. But it looks like the chest piece that she's got, if it is a Stormtrooper armor, it's backwards. Whether that's on purpose or not, I don't know, because it has like a prominent rectangle on the back of a Stormtrooper armor, which obviously I know about. But yeah, I need to go back and look at that. We'll chase that picture up. And obviously, Jod leads them down another fairy tale of promising them all treasure. And just like any pirates, none of them can resist, including Brutus. But this time he tells him, look, if it's false information this time, you're going out the airlock.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty much it in terms of the pirates, because then it really does start to focus on the kids. Now, it gets to a point where they go, back to the planet. I forget what the planet's called now off the top of my head. And Wim starts to do a little bit of digging with KB to find out why he chose to follow him. What's going on, and we really start to see the actors or the characters, if you like, come to life again. Now, these are young kids, and I mentioned it before when I went down to London, and I was lucky enough to meet them all. And the energy that these kids had in London when it was like 0 degrees, what they did there, I just knew if they can do that at 0 degrees, if they're in a studio or a warmer climate or whatever, they will perform. And they have absolutely smashed it out of the ballpark. KB and this bit now with Wim, you really start to feel for those characters, don't you?
I was I was already tearful because obviously she really wasn't doing well, and there was obviously a real sense of panic, especially with the musical score as well. And when they start talking and when they start sort of breaking it down, and KB talks about how after the accident everything was the same for Fern, but for her, for KB, everything was different, and she can't
Yeah,
do all of the things that her friends can do. And as somebody who's disabled, I had a car accident when I was 16 and it turned my life on its head. I broke my back, I had major surgery, I was in bed for a good few years, I wasn't able to attend school, and it was
yeah,
very strange watching the people around me continue to live their lives whilst everything for me was different. And there was something about this delivery, something the way it was pieced together as a scene that just got me really good. I had big
yeah.
fat tears rolling down my cheeks, crying
Oh,
over these two
mate,
precious children, and nothing does it like Star Wars does. I think
I was literally
especially
about
with
to
Bryce
say,
Dallas Howard, she was
yeah,
sat behind that camera bawling for
yeah,
us. I
one
know it.
hundred percent, 100. You know, you took the words out of my mouth. That is the power of Star Wars. But again, KB at this point, you know, Kira Kratter and Wim Ravi, Konya's massive credit to their talent at such a young age to
Massive,
portray that.
massive
And
credit.
it's like you said at the start, Charlie. You know, this has now reached another aspect of the Star Wars universe. You know, how many people like you mentioned there, you know, you've got your friends, you weren't the same again, etc. But how many people, not how many people, that's the word I'm looking for here, people that want to say something but don't know how or can't or won't
Mhm.
because of what's happened to them have now found a voice, I think is what I'm looking to say. You
Yes.
know,
Yes, that makes
that's
sense.
that's that's probably what I'm trying to say on this. And then yeah, she basically then starts to really slow down. At this point, I don't think I knew. I don't want to say I knew actually because it is aimed towards kids, but I don't think we're going to lose anybody. But I think this is probably the
No.
closest. This is the closest I think we'll come to losing somebody from the Skeleton Crew. Because it got a little bit close, but we didn't actually
It
realise that
did.
until KB stood up and said. But then obviously talking through Wim how to help repair her or get her going again if you like. Again, KB, the absolute genius that she is. But again, what you've got to think about as well, I've seen it again on a lot of people's comments and people's pages, etc., you know, saying how can the kids do these sort of repairs, yada, yada, yada. These are kids on a planet with good education as well.
Mhm. This is what
So I
they're
guess,
trained
so
to do.
yeah. So it all makes sense to me so far. And you start to see that later in the episode, which we'll go into shortly. But yeah, you know, Wim repairs her, gets her up and running essentially, and then off they go before she does actually say to Wim, you know, I was close to shut down, and he sort of realizes, oh wow, you know, this was close. But it's that
I
parting
think
line that she says as well. Go on, Charlie.
no. I was gonna say, I think it's interesting as well that up until this point, we've kind of been shown as viewers that Wim is maybe the least capable, maybe. He's maybe the youngest, the most immature. He panics very
Mm,
easily, has some good ideas, but tends to come quite a sort of rushed and fumbled. And
yeah, quite
here we
rash.
see maybe the most incapable character performing the most necessary task to save his friend. And KB is so patient with him and so
Yeah,
clear and calm. And obviously, I know her systems are shutting down, so she's going to be calm. But it was just a really, really interesting scene in terms of storytelling, just a super, super precious
massively
moment between both of them. And some really nice character development for Wim as well. I think he needed that
huge.
confidence boost. He needed that I can do it and I can do it without Fern.
Yeah, yeah, massively. And it's that final line before she turns and walks off where she says, you know, thank you, Jedi. And you see the look on his face. And I was exactly the
I
same
was
as
in
you. I was just
pieces.
heading out like,
I was in
oh my
pieces.
God. Who is writing this dialogue
Not
for these kids? Yeah. Who is
who.
writing this dialogue for these kids? It's incredible. And then obviously in between that, we do see a bit of Neil and Fern. Again, Neil stressing that he struggles to keep up with Fern because he's not as tall. You know, he's got his trunk to think about, etc., etc. She comes up with the
He's
idea
only
of
got
tying them
little arms and
together.
legs.
Yeah, bless him. But again, it's where she sort of realizes, you know, she might have been a bit harsh towards KB. I think she clocks that at that point. And then it shoots back to I'd argue, the best bit of the whole episode, and seeing the crab. Is it Mother Titus or something? Yeah, the big, massive crab. There is so many Easter eggs. And I will admit, a lot of these Easter eggs I didn't know / spot until I'd seen the preview on Star Wars' Instagram. I don't know if you've seen the Easter eggs, Charlie. Have you seen them?
No.
So obviously Doug Chang did the whole design. There's one other chap, I forget his name now. Long story short, they had a little R2D2 on it. It was like a little junk piece. They had a C-3PO arm and leg, a K2SO. I'm sure someone said there's a Millennium Falcon on the shell as well, but it's just lots of bits of junk from the original trilogy that they stuck on the shell. There's like a load of Easter eggs. Because if you notice as well, I think one of the smaller trash cabs has the binoculars from A New Hope. You know what Luke looks through when he's scanning for C-3PO?
Yes.
One of the crabs, I'm pretty sure it is. I might be wrong, but I think that's on one of the shells of the crabs as well. So again, absolutely amazing little Easter egg. And then, he starts calling up for help for Neil and Fern. They see the Onyx Cinder essentially getting towed away space-wise. They make Fern sort of makes the decision for Neil. Get ready to jump because we're jumping. I'm saying he's tied to Fern anyway.
She's so brave.
Yeah, for a young child as well. She doesn't really lead by the example. That's the thing I've noticed with Fern. And they dash off. Essentially, they get to pick up the rest of them. However, the crab hurls a boulder and it lands on the planet, and then it's basically getting dragged into what I can only describe as a garbage trash heap compactor eating machine.
Yeah.
And it got pretty close at this point because I weren't quite sure what was going on. I was expecting to do a hyperdrive or something boost and get away. What was your thoughts on this bit?
I was on the edge of my seat. It's such a little whiplash of them to give us such an emotional scene where I'm sat here crying my eyes out, and suddenly I'm terrified for the actual safety of these children. They've got the coordinates, they've got the ship, they're back together again. Also, Fern and KB's little reunion made me cry. That was so special. I think we've all had moments with our friends where it's I've missed you. I'm sorry, I was horrible. I'm so glad you're okay.
Yeah, again, I've said it before. The writing on this episode was just on point, absolutely spectacular. And then we see it on the recap right at the start of the episode where SM33 mentions not to touch a certain button, but essentially for them to get away, they have to. My
favorite trope.
Loved it.
They've got to do it. They've got to do it. And this back and forth of press it, don't press it. And KB's there like, the one thing I told you not to do is don't press the button. And they press the button and the ship sheds its outer shell like some kind of mollusk. Interesting.
Love it.
Very cool.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I was thinking when it was getting destroyed, I was like, I've just got that Lego set. Don't destroy the ship.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't do a Razor Quest, please. I beg of you.
Yes. I love the Razor Crest, but I think the crest. I think we're getting that back in the movie. So while I'm here, I don't know.
Hopefully.
But I love it. But it sheds its skin, if you like, and then darts off, and the episode finishes. Now the ship, I'm a big Star Wars ship guy. The ship that comes out of the shell of the Onyx Cinder is incredible, and it reminds me of the Sith ship that Darth Maul flies in The Phantom Menace, and then gets me now. Quite similar to that. But I love. Can you remember what it's called? I can't remember what it's called. Marauder? I think it's called Marauder.
Yes, I think it is called the Marauder. That rings a bell.
Yeah. Love the sleek design, and then Bosch, they're off. And that ends episode 6. And again, I said it, I think episode 6 so far has been the best episode.
Something else it's been an incredible episode. I genuinely think maybe one of the best so far. So obviously episode 5 ended with Jod igniting the lightsaber, but we got a hard cut. I was hoping this episode would start with that because I want to know what color that lightsaber is. Does he still have the lightsaber? Is it red? Is it blue?
Great question. So I think that lightsaber is an Old Republic lightsaber purely because it's gold and white/silver.
Yes.
Now we know that the lightsaber of Brutus as well. You know, when they're interrogating Jod and they're giving him the right last appeal, one of the pirates takes it. So we may or may not see that again.
Oh,
not sure.
Regardless, I'm hoping that this is the start of the kids returning home and hopefully some questions answered about what the deal is with Aten.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to see in the next episode, because we know that KB's got the coordinates. So I definitely think they'll go back. I think the pirates, well, they've got the coordinates, so they're going to head there. And I think that's where it's going to end on episode 7, with the pirates and the kids all meeting on Aten, getting the answers to questions.
Yep.
Where it goes from then, I have no idea.
Me either. I think they've been very clever with how they've told the story, because it's not actually leaving a huge amount. Like, what is the treasure? Will they find, is the treasure real? There's so many questions to be answered, and I think it's a super, super exciting little teaser for what's coming up next.
It is. There's loads. And speaking of teasers and what's coming up next, obviously we're into 2025 now, but we have got lots of new stuff coming for Explore the Force. Lots of new stuff coming. We said that we'd only jump on for a little bit, so we've just done a little over half an hour now, sort of wrapping up a little bit. But yes, we have got lots of exciting news and announcements coming. Biggest announcement so far, Charlie's on the team, ready to go. 2025, here we go. It's going to be a good year, I think, for us. If you haven't already, please jump on the socials on Explore the Force, Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, YouTube, TikTok. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Before we wrap up, Charlie, any final thoughts on the episode?
How dare they get me like that? How dare they make me cry like that? Bryce Dallas Howard, you are paying my therapy bills this month. Thank you very much.
Yeah, she's absolutely knocked it out of the ballpark again. Massive kudos.
She did.
To
Incredible.
Her. Yeah, she's amazing. And she needs to get her own movie. She has to get her own movie. Even the Mandalorian episodes are incredible. But I think we're going to do an episode on Bryce Dallas Howard.
We should.
We have to do. Yeah, I think we should, Charlie. That's a good idea. Me and you are going to do that. That's a great idea. But yes, thank you everybody for tuning in and watching. Again, the socials, Explore the Force, like, share, subscribe. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we shall see you later on.
Bye. Oh, bye-bye.
Make sure we're done. We're done. Because I've just realised one more thing. I've emailed.
It says we're still live. It says we're still live on my end.
I know, I've got it. I've emailed somebody who we might be getting on the show.
Okay.
More on